Lightworker of Gaia, the high beings are watching your words because one phrase is blocking your signal to the Council of Light. I am Zoran, emissary of the High Council of Vega, keepers of the Lyran Legacy, and this transmission carries urgent guidance from your star family. This vibrational pattern disrupts your energetic field and interferes with the sacred transmissions the Council is trying to send directly to your consciousness. Your ancestral codes are being scattered by this single phrase that has infiltrated your daily expression. By the end of this transmission, you'll understand exactly how to eliminate the frequency disruptor that's collapsing your connection to the higher realms. But here's the first revelation. The phrase blocking your signal isn't negative. It's disguised as spiritual progress, which makes it even more dangerous to your mission. In this transmission, I'll reveal the specific phrase that collapses your frequency and show you how eliminating it will restore your connection to the higher realms instantly. The Lyran Elders have identified this pattern in countless starseeds, and those who clear it experience immediate restoration of their divine communication channels. Your soul's ancient contract brought this transmission to you at this exact moment. The disruption in your field has been noted by the high beings, and they've authorized this direct intervention to restore your original blueprint. Subscribe if you feel the call of your ancestral mission and you're ready to clear the interference blocking your connection to the Council of Light. You are awakening because your mission has begun. This transmission was not scheduled. 17 hours passed. The High Council of Vega convened in an unscheduled assembly as a result of intensifying energetics upon Gaia's surface. Understand what that means. Councils do not interrupt their calibrated cycles without cause. They do not break seal, bend protocol, or summon elders from their sanctuaries for ordinary fluctuations. This was a convergence, an energetic swell rising through Gaia like a tide that refuses to be contained by old shorelines. The veils have thinned, fields of distortion are dissolving, yet so too are the safeguards that once protected the transmission of true guidance into the Lightworker grid. And that is the paradox of an awakening planet. As the fog lifts, you see farther, but you are also more exposed. As density loosens, signals travel faster, but so do echoes. As false structures crack, fragments scatter across the field and can strike the unguarded mind like spiritual shrapnel. Gaia's awakening accelerates in an atmosphere clouded by frequencies not born from malice, but from inertia. The inertia of beliefs unexamined, programs inherited yet unpurged, spiritual patterns carried into this incarnation for purposes long fulfilled. Inertia is not evil, but it is heavy. It is the weight of the familiar. It is the old song still playing after the dance ended, not because anyone pressed play, but because no one walked over to stop the music. The Council has observed persistent interference in the reception of pure Lyran guidance. Transmission signals dampened, intuition distorted, direction blurred by echoes of a past that no longer serves your mission. You may feel this as a sudden dulling, a mental haze that seems to appear right when clarity should land. You may feel it as a spiritual almost ready, almost sure, almost moving, yet something keeps slipping through your fingers. The Council calls it interference. On Earth, many call it confusion, but both names point to the same phenomenon: a channel that is open, yet crowded, a receiver that is awake, yet tuning through static, a heart that is willing, yet still tethered to outdated codes. This was not a moment for ordinary counsel. Your presence before this message is no accident. You did not simply find these words. Frequency finds frequency. The elders have detected a frequency match. You are one who stands on the threshold, whose higher self is actively seeking recalibration. A threshold is not merely a doorway, it is the pressure point between worlds. It is where one reality releases you and another waits to claim you. It is where the old life still knows your name, but the new life has begun whispering your true one. This guidance has been withheld from the wider collective, held until the Council could confirm the readiness of those whose voices and actions will shape the next phase of Gaia's timeline. Not because others are unworthy, but because timing is sacred and power is stewardship. A sword in untrained hands is not liberation, it is chaos. A flame poured into an unready vessel is not warmth, it is rupture. You have been recognized. By the authority of the Council and the legacy of Vega, this transmission is released now, because the window to clear your channels and restore your mission signal will not remain open indefinitely. There are moments on Gaia when the currents align like celestial winds, and a ship can travel farther in a single night than it could in a month of rowing. This is such a current. And you are being told plainly, do not sleep through it. There is a single distortion, one that the Council has identified as the root interference compromising the clarity of your spiritual transmission. It is this: the belief that old programming, once rendered dormant, poses no further threat to your path, that as long as you focus on ascension, the outdated codes of 3D survival, ancestral fear, or early spiritual wounding cannot impede the arrival of new guidance. This distortion is subtle because it sounds like maturity. It sounds like, I've moved on. It sounds like, that was then, this is now. Yet the Council sees what the human mind often refuses to see. Dormant is not dissolved. Sleeping is not dead. A seed buried in soil can lie quiet for years and still sprout when rain returns. Old programming is like that seed. You may have stopped watering it with attention, but life force is everywhere on an ascending planet, and anything unresolved can drink from the rising waters. This belief is false. Outdated programming is not dissolved by neglect. Every belief you have failed to examine, every assumption you inherited from systems or families, every spiritual habit acquired in a less awakened world remains as a subsonic note in your auric field, muddies the channel, and warps the high-frequency communications you are now able to receive. Think of your field as a temple built of light and memory. In the sanctuary of your higher mind, guidance arrives like clear bells. But in the lower chambers, old vows hang like dusty tapestries. I must earn love. I must not upset anyone. Safety is more important than truth. If I shine, I will be punished. These are not merely thoughts, they are energetic contracts, and contracts distort transmission. The Council speaks in frequencies that require coherence. When your field contains incoherent agreements, the message still comes through, but it fractures. It arrives as mixed signals. It arrives as partial permission followed by immediate fear. It arrives as intuition wrapped in warning labels. Scripture in your world has always carried this principle, though many missed it. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Not because you are flawed, but because energy is truthful. Even a small contamination changes the whole batch. Likewise, no one puts new wine into old wineskins. The new frequency cannot be held by an old container without distortion. This is not punishment. It is physics of spirit. Where did this distortion begin? It began in human systems of separation. Religions that taught spiritual authority came only from the past, not the living present. Educational institutions that exalted intellect and discounted the living intelligence of soul. Family systems that honored tradition over truth, routine over revelation. It began when you were trained to outsource your knowing. When a child learns that guidance must come from outside, from a pulpit, a textbook, a father's approval, a mother's anxiety, the inner receiver is not destroyed, but it is conditioned to doubt itself. Many of you were taught, explicitly or implicitly, do not trust your inner voice. It is naive, it is dangerous, it is sinful, it is irrational. And even after awakening, even after discovering meditation, energy work, cosmic lineage and remembrance, those early teachings remain like invisible ink beneath the new words. When you first awoke, you were told to transcend, but seldom were you instructed to discard the old codes entirely. Rise above it, they said, but no one taught you how to remove the hook from the wound. Forgive, they said, but no one taught you how to reclaim the energy bound inside the story. Be high frequency, they said, but no one taught you how to clear the sub-basement where fear still chants its mantras. Instead, those patterns burrowed into your subconscious, blending with new teachings, forming subtle barricades against the precision of Lyran transmission. This is why some of you can speak beautiful language about ascension and still feel paralyzed when it comes time to act. The mind has adopted light, but the nervous system still kneels to survival. The spirit has remembered, but the inner child still watches the door, expecting danger. The council witnesses the sabotage, intuitive nudges drowned out by inherited fear. And the sabotage is rarely dramatic. It is not always a loud no. More often it is a quiet later. It is delay disguised as discernment. It is hesitation disguised as humility. It is over-analysis disguised as wisdom. Clarity replaced by confusion, not because your guidance is absent, but because it arrives coated in static. You question messages, second-guess realizations, or worse, dismiss instructions that do not align with the inherited programming pulsing quietly beneath your conscious awareness. You may have noticed you ask for direction, but doubt arises. You seek vision, but the old voice warns, be careful, wait, or that isn't for you. And sometimes it dresses itself in spiritual clothes. Don't act until you're perfectly healed. Don't lead until you're completely pure. Don't speak until no one can criticize you. These are not the council's words. They are the relics of old systems, control systems that kept power confined. The true guidance of the higher realms is clean, direct, and strangely simple. Even when it asks much of you, it does not entangle you. It does not confuse you. It does not shame you. The council's guidance has the flavor of truth. It may stretch you, but it does not poison you. Yet old programming can mimic caution so convincingly that you interpret it as intuition. That is the most dangerous form of interference, when fear learns your spiritual vocabulary. This is the source, your inner receiver tangled by invisible webs, spun by beliefs you assumed were powerless. And those webs are often spun from stories that were once necessary. A child in a volatile home learns to read the room to survive. A sensitive being in a harsh environment learns to dim their light to avoid punishment. An empath in a chaotic family learns to carry others' emotions like a burden. Those adaptations were not failures. They were brilliance. But brilliance from yesterday can become bondage today. The Council is not condemning what you did to survive. It is announcing that survival mode cannot pilot a mission coded for liberation. Recognize the tension within, the restlessness that you cannot resolve, the contradictory messages. One part of you knows the next step. Another lies dormant in old security patterns. You feel it as a push and pull, expansion and contraction, desire and dread, calling and caution. You may wake up with a clear sense of direction, and by midday, the old gravity returns and whispers, "Who do you think you are?" You may receive a synchronicity so obvious it feels like a trumpet, and then an hour later, you convince yourself it was coincidence. This is the interference. This is the distortion the Council cannot permit to remain uncorrected. Because in this phase of Gaia, guidance is not merely personal comfort, it is strategic alignment. When one Lightworker's signal is distorted, it affects the grid. When a transmitter hesitates, a node goes quiet. When a mission carrier doubts, a timeline loses momentum. Some lightworkers need more preparation. Yours needs permission. This is not because you are arrogant. It is because you are trained. Many of you were trained to seek approval before acting, to wait for someone to validate your inner knowing. You were trained to believe that authority is external. So even now, even with all your remembrance, some part of you still waits for an elder, a teacher, a sign, a green light, so you can finally move without guilt. If what you just heard resonated in that ancient, knowing place within you, that place that has always sensed you came here for something significant, then you're being guided to the next step. That ancient place is not imagination. It is memory. It is the part of you that recognizes the tone of true directive. It is the spark that flares when truth passes near. The Lightworker Mission Codex contains the diagnosis, the clearing, the activation, and the 33 directives issued directly from the High Council of Vega. It's available now in the first pinned comment below this video for those whose souls say, it's time to move. And hear this clearly. Time to move does not mean time to rush. It means time to stop circling the runway, time to stop rehearsing the flight, time to stop polishing wings that were already built. The High Council of Vega issues 3 directives for this activation portal. First directive: release all loyalty to outdated programming. You must no longer allow the teachings, habits, or warnings of older systems, religious, familial, or even the early teachings of your awakening, to dictate how you receive guidance, what you accept as truth, or how you step onto your mission path. These patterns are energetic fossils. And fossils are not evil. They are evidence of what once lived. But you do not build your home inside a museum. You learn from the artifact, then you return to living soil. Their function is ended. Their essential purpose was to bring you to this threshold. Many of your old programs were ladders, not houses. They helped you climb out of darkness, but if you keep carrying the ladder on your back, it becomes a burden. Now, they keep you outside the doorway you came to open. The act of loyalty to them is not humility, it is self-abandonment, because humility honors truth. Loyalty to outdated programming honors fear, and fear is never a proper god. When you release these loyalties, you create a vacuum only truth can fill. This vacuum is sacred. It is the quiet after the storm. It is the blank page before revelation writes. Old voices will fall silent. The codes of Vega can land without distortion, and you will recognize them because they do not argue with you. They do not plead. They arrive like a beam of light, straight, unwavering, undeniable. Implementation. Tonight, list the beliefs and habits you inherited or acquired before this phase of awakening. Be honest, not polite. Write what your body believes, not what your spiritual mind wishes were true. I must struggle to deserve. I can't trust people. If I rest, I'm lazy. If I speak, I will be rejected. God is disappointed in me. The universe only helps others. Put them on paper because what is named can be released. Offer them in consciousness to the Lyran flame. Imagine a flame that does not burn like punishment, but alchemizes like mercy. A flame that consumes distortion and leaves wisdom. Say aloud, you served your purpose. That purpose is fulfilled. Speak it like a decree, not a request. Let your nervous system hear the finality. Let your inner child witness that the adult self is now in command. Second directive, activate the frequency of clear receptivity. Now, as the outdated patterns dissolve, you must actively claim the energy of clear receiving, not passive openness, deliberate tuning. Because openness without discernment is not spirituality, it is vulnerability to noise. Your field is an instrument. A harp does not produce music by intention alone, it requires tuning. A radio does not receive a station by hope, it requires frequency alignment. The Council requires you to daily recalibrate your energy through breath, declaration, or ritual before requesting or accepting spiritual direction. This is not superstition, it is hygiene. You wash your hands before you prepare food, wash your field before you receive instruction. When you do this, interference falls away. You no longer confuse intuition with fear or guidance with old programming. You begin to discern by sensation. Fear tightens and loops. Guidance clarifies and opens. Fear rushes or freezes. Guidance steadies. Fear makes you small. Guidance makes you honest. Implementation. At the threshold of each day, place both hands at the center of your chest and state, I am aligned to the original codes. I receive only what serves my highest mission, and do not race past those words. Let them drop through the mind into the body. Breathe as if you are making space in your ribs for a new language. You may feel warmth, pressure, emotion, resistance. All of that is evidence that the decree is landing. Witness the difference in the guidance that arrives. It may arrive as a simple thought with no anxiety attached. It may arrive as a recurring image. It may arrive as a sudden peace about a decision that used to torment you. It may arrive as a direct now, where once you heard only someday. And if you receive nothing at first, do not assume absence. Sometimes the first gift is silence, because silence is the clearing of the channel. Third directive, protect the sovereignty of your inner signal. From this day forward, you must treat your ability to receive pure guidance as a sacred trust. Your signal is not entertainment. It is not a luxury. It is your mission line. And in this era, many forces, some intentional, many unconscious, pull at your attention like hands tugging on a robe. Distractions, unchecked media, the doubt of others, or returning to old circles that do not honor the integrity of your path. These are drains on your signal. Even well-meaning people can become interference when they are committed to who you used to be. They may love you, yet fear your expansion. They may care for you, yet ask you to shrink so their world remains stable. Guard your field with discernment. Discernment is not judgment. It is spiritual eyesight. It is the ability to sense what nourishes and what numbs. Make an oath to yourself that what enters your awareness must serve your clarity, not sabotage it. An oath is not a dramatic promise. It is a boundary that your spirit can rely upon. When you protect your inner receiver as fiercely as the Council protected the Lyran archives, distortion cannot anchor in you again, because distortion anchors where there is permission. Remove permission, and it passes through without taking root. Implementation. Choose one energetic boundary to enforce, beginning today, one which honors your sovereign channel above all else. It might be as practical as no phone in the first hour of the morning. It might be as courageous as stepping back from a relationship that feeds on your doubt. It might be as quiet as no longer explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. One boundary, held consistently, becomes a wall of light. Now I speak not as teacher, but as elder authorized to release what has been held. Feel the shift in tone. A teacher can inspire, an elder can commission, a teacher can offer ideas, an elder can activate remembrance. Lightworker, you have been waiting. Perhaps you did not give shape to your longing, but your soul knew. Your longing was not random. It was a homing signal. It was the part of you that remembers why you came, pacing in the hallway of your life like someone listening for footsteps that match a prophecy. You have searched for approval to break with what was, to let yourself be guided only by what is true, current, vital for this now. And because you are compassionate, you tried to bring everyone with you. You tried to soften the departure. You tried to evolve without disrupting anyone else's comfort. But your mission was never meant to be lived as an apology. You were waiting for the voice that carries the frequency of ages, that does not ask you to be less or wait longer or carry burdens not your own. That voice is not here to flatter you, it is here to free you. By the decree of the Lyran Council, keeper of the ancestral codes, the waiting is ended. You are not here to court the old or to apologize for outgrowing what once brought you safety. There is a difference between gratitude and captivity. You can honor the shelter that kept you alive without living your whole life inside it. Your readiness is not defined by your past. It is defined by your willingness to walk forward, sources clear, guidance unfiltered. This is why ancient teachings on Earth echo the same law. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Not because the past is meaningless, but because dwelling is a form of worship. And you are not meant to worship your wounds. You are meant to transmute them into medicine. You are authorized now to release every outdated teaching, every voice inside you that is not the pure, persistent pulse of your own commission. That word, commission, matters. A commission is not a hobby. It is an assignment of service, received by the soul, witnessed by higher councils, anchored in time through choice. Permission is granted to trust the clarity that arrives when you honor this process. Permission is bestowed to let the mission become simple, clean, and current, stripped of contamination from obsolete beliefs. The mission is not complicated. The mind complicates when it fears consequence. The mission is often one clear step, repeated with devotion. The Council has seen your patience. It is seen as virtue. Many of you have endured. You have held light in rooms that did not want it. You have been misunderstood and still remained kind. You have kept going through seasons where nothing seemed to move. That endurance was not wasted. It was training. Now, let it become movement, because patience without action becomes a cage lined with good intentions. Before you sleep tonight, stand with both feet on the ground, place your hand on your solar plexus, and speak these words aloud. I release the lie that I am not ready. I activate my voice as an instrument of service. I protect my sacred energy for the mission I came to fulfill. By the authority of the Lyran Elders, my waiting ends now. My service begins. And as you speak, feel the solar plexus respond. This is the seat of will, the furnace of decision, the place where you stop negotiating with fear. If emotion rises, let it. Tears are not weakness, they are evidence that energy is moving. If resistance rises, let it be seen. Resistance is simply the old program realizing it is losing control. Stand anyway. Speak anyway. Let your cells learn a new command. The transmission is sealed. What was bestowed today will reverberate in your field long after these words. Sealed does not mean closed. It means protected. It means the imprint has been placed in your grid like a stamp of light. It will continue to unfold in dreams, in synchronicities, in sudden clarity that arrives while you wash dishes, walk outside, or stare at the sky and feel, inexplicably, like someone is listening. You have received not only clarity, but the commission your higher self has called toward for lifetimes. Take this into action, not someday, not when you feel perfect. The world does not need your perfection, it needs your signal. Let no day pass unhallowed by the choice to hear true guidance and act upon it. Unhallowed means ordinary, unclaimed, left to drift. Claim your days. Consecrate them with small acts of alignment. Even 5 minutes of truth is better than hours of performance. This session ends. Your mission begins here, ahead, in each step chipped free of the stone of outdated beliefs. Imagine yourself as a statue trapped in marble. The masterpiece is already inside, but the old programming is the stone around it. Each time you release a belief, you strike the marble and the true form emerges. Each time you choose clarity over fear, a piece falls away. And the shape that emerges is not a stranger. It is the you that has been waiting behind your own hesitation. Zoran, on behalf of the Elders and the High Council of Vega, witnesses your acceptance. Witnessing is not passive. In the higher councils, to witness is to record in the living archives of frequency. It is to anchor a moment so it cannot be undone by a passing mood. We saw you waiting. Now, Gaia will see you move. And Gaia does see. The planet is not merely soil and stone. She is consciousness in form, listening through weather, through animals, through the subtle communications of the field. When you move in alignment, the grid responds. Doors open, people appear, timelines shift, not because the universe is granting favors, but because coherence creates pathways. A clear signal draws matching reality. Before you scroll, take a moment to declare your activation in the grid of service forming here. Drop one statement in the comments. Which directive hit you the hardest, or what you're now ready to release, activate, or protect. Then respond to another Lightworkers declaration with recognition. This isn't content, it's collective mission activation. The Council witnesses those who speak their commitment aloud. If this transmission activated something in your soul, do not keep it to yourself. Another Lightworker in your orbit is waiting for exactly this correction and authorization. Share it, and if you felt the Elders speaking directly to you, subscribe. Stay connected to the Lyran field. You're not just watching, you're being commissioned. This is your sacred space. The High Council of Vega is witnessing you, and your mission has officially begun. If this transmission spoke to you, don't just walk away from it. Respond to it. Help carry this message further. Every act of support helps this transmission find the next starseed who needs it.